I'd like to step back a little bit. We have such a range of students here, some of whom are seniors and will know the answer to this question, others who may not. Can you give a thumbnail sketch of what a distributor does?
What do we do? The primary function is we receive the master and artwork from a label and manufacture it for them. So in basic terms, we take the last step of the creative process, which is finalizing the art and the music, and turn it into something that is carrier driven. In this case, these days, mostly CDs, though we do quite a bit of vinyl as well. The second thing is we then solicit that to the remaining stores that are in, and we only distribute in America, so it's just US based. We go out and present the music to those that buy the music for the stores, those people that determine what the stores carry. And of course, that's a presentation. It's not different than building a case for a client or, you're getting your day in court. The industry still puts out about 700 full lengths a week. Most record stores have fewer than 30,000 titles in their store. If you do the math quickly, you're all probably better than this than I am. 700 a week roughly equates to 36,000 titles a year, and the average store only carries 35,000 titles. So you can see that you have to make a case to be there. So that's the other part of it. And then the rest of it is actually just the warehousing, the shipping, the invoicing, the billing, rendering statements to the actual labels, and then of course paying.
So you act as a wholesaler, the wrong term, between the label and the retailers?
Yeah, the label determines what the price is going to be. We get a distribution fee. It varies per label, and then we sell it to the retailer. The retailer generally buys it from us at about 30% less than what the suggested retail is, 33 to 35% less. So, a $15.98 list record will sell for, I think it's like $8.40 or something like that. And the retailer decides then what they're going to charge the consumer. Right. In some cases, they'll charge the consumer $16.98, and they keep the margin. In some cases, they may charge literally what they buy for it, or even less, determined by what their business model might be.
So you're selling to the record store at $8.40, and you've paid what for the record?
Well, I haven't paid for it because I actually never possess or own it. The music is always owned by the label.
Right.
I have some manufacturing involved in it. I'm sure you've all read the Rolling Stone articles where they break out why is a CD $15 when it ultimately raw materials wise is 38 cents. So from my standpoint, it's 38 cents, whatever it costs to make it. Of course, the answer to that question is the vast amount of money that it takes to market the artist is what determines the price.
One thing that I think is lost on the population for sure, and unfortunately a lot of people in the record industry, is co-op. I think my contention is that co-op and what you mentioned regarding shelf space has far more to do with the difficulties that the record industry is facing than downloading. Can you speak on co-op a little bit?
Well, co-op, the term doesn't, I've been in the business for 30 years and I don't know when it was actually cooperative, but it's short for cooperative. The idea being that, we go to a retailer and say, hey, we'll give you $20 if you kick in $20 and we'll both spend $40 then and we'll try to sell this record. Well, in 30 years, I've never seen anybody actually kick in. It's all driven by the money that comes from the labels, and so it's not cooperative really. It's really a subsidy for advertising. So for example, how it may work is, and probably the best and most visible advertising you might see is the Best Buy Circular. The Best Buy Circular goes in, I don't know how many newspapers, it goes to I don't know how many people, but it's in excess of 70 or 80 million people see that circular every week. It has 10 or 15 titles in there. Those 10 or 15 titles are paid for by the distributor, which ultimately then is paid for by the label to be in there. It's a highly selective process. You have to make a huge case to get in there to be able to spend the money to be in there. And then they advertise the project. So why do you do it? Well, it reaches 80 million people. So if you've created demand for the record and then you want to reach 80 million people, that's one vehicle to use. A more grassroots example of co-op might be a listening station. So you go into a typical indie store, you put on the headphones, In order to do that, we've paid for the slotting, really, to get into the station, which actually pays for the technology that allows you to listen to the record. So in a way, it's really just us subsidizing for the retailer the ability to help promote the artist to the end consumer.